Brandon?
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Brandon Gadoci. I own a AI consulting and services company that I've started recently in the last couple of months. And so married 23 years, 2 kids, 16 and 15. I live here in North Dallas and yeah.
Okay. So in business for 2 months, 3 months?
Probably 4 or 5 months now.
Okay.
Fully dedicated to this, yeah.
Now walk us back the last couple of years on what led you to this business.
Yeah, it's a funny journey a little bit. There's that kind of wandering in the desert for a while, trying to figure out, where I was headed and what was going on. I sort of in my last gig ended up for the last 3 years of that what I called AI operations. There's a woman named Rachel Woods out of Austin. She kind of coined that term, but just really experimenting with how to bring this magic that was dropped on us in November of 2022. How do we take this and bring it into the enterprise, into the business in a way that actually has results and is meaningful? And so, yeah.
So we're using tools like Zapier, Make, like Claude Code, Replit, stuff like that before you started this business? Or did you start kind of tinkering with those with this business?
Yeah, so I'll answer this in 2 ways. The original approach I had at the last company, which spurred this approach, was like a very consultative. I'm going into a group, asking questions, what do you exist for? What's your major friction points? Just like a consultant would do. And then I would either find or build tools for them. And in that process, learned all of those things: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Zapier, Relevance AI, Make, N8, and all the things. What I've come to believe after many iterations of this now is that I think about solutioning for AI in 3 levels. So the first level is, it would sound like this. You would say, I have this problem, or I want to do this thing. I would say, did you know that this feature in ChatGPT can do that? And you say, no, I don't. I say, let me show you. Now you know, save 30% of your time. You're happy, you get to soccer practice on time, all the things. That's a level 1 solution. A level 2 solution would be, that's not enough. We need to now cobble together some different systems and move information around. We want AI to be involved somehow. But they're existing tools, Zapier, all the different ones that we just mentioned. That's a level 2 solution. And a level 3 solution would be, we have a complex task that needs orchestration. We need some combination of deterministic and probabilistic interactions with technology, and we need to build that and deploy it ourselves. And so my tools that I've used, they fall into those kind of levels. That's
Okay.
what I think about it.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So what does an average customer of yours look like? What type of a business owner? Are they exclusively business owners?
Yeah.
Industry, business size, et cetera?
So I'm finding that every single company has this problem. Anytime I say I'm in AI, the response is like, I just got off a conference call with our CEO and they said we need to do something about AI. You got a lot of leadership acting out of fear or hope, saying, what are we going to do with AI? I've overheard on conference calls, high-level people, we've got to do something with this AI thing. I've been asked to talk to people just so they can say they talked to an AI expert for their earnings call.
Wow.
There's pressure for people to do stuff in this space. And so I'm finding that, companies with tens of thousands of employees need this, and then startups need it too. We come in, when I say we, it's me and a developer and one other person, but we'll come in a fractional, like transformational, let's talk about change management, what's the culture at your company, how can we be AI native, AI first, how do we change this group of 400 people? And then I also come in with like, here's a specific thing that we're trying to do, can you build that for us? So,
What about like Nonstart, like a small business but not a startup? Like a local business or a home service business?
Yeah, so those are really fun ones.
Are you saying that sarcastically?
No, no, I'm saying it like that. You can help somebody out so much. Like
you're opening their eyes,
and you're letting them do the work of 10 people now on their own. And so I don't have a lot of commercial relationships in my practice with that sort of level, but I do a lot of that help just because I like helping local businesses. Like, my brother owns a gym. What can we do on AI to help you with your leads or, whatever. And so,
do you have more customers on the startup side or like the bigger established business side?
I would say right now it's kind of split between like what I'd call a medium-sized company, but 400, 500 person company, kind of medium small. And then on the larger side, kind of in the 6,000 employee, range somewhere in that range. So that's where most of it falls. And then I've got some like smaller agency type stuff where there's 40, 50 people at a company.
Mostly hundreds of employees and up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things that AI introduces is a lot of security issues, and so you have to be careful with that. And just the bigger the company gets, the more things you have to check off before
Compliance
you can make progress.
things.
Yeah, you can go faster with smaller companies, but that's not new to AI, right?
Okay. What does an average proposal look like? Let's say you're sitting down with the owner of a 400-person company. What are their typical problems, and what kind of questions do you typically ask them?
we can come in a lot of different ways. So sometimes if that, somebody at that company says, we have this thing we think AI can help with, then we just get right to it. Like, okay, tell me about that, do discovery. Who's involved, who's the subject matter experts, what are the systems, how long does it take now, what does it cost, whatever. So shape that out. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll come in and do a survey, right? Send this out to all your managers, employees, whatever, we get that survey back. What's cool is the way that I built it is when we get those results back, I can actually instantly summarize and give AI insights and charts, and so within 2 hours, 3 hours of that completing, I can give a very nice,
that's cool,
15-page report on the state of your AI readiness. And I also deliver a chatbot experience with that too, so they can go chat and who hates AI and who's worried about And then it kind of spans the gamut. Like, do you want to do a workshop? Do you want to go find use cases and help you there? Do you want someone to come in and just do some education presentations around those level 1 solutions? And at the top of that sort of pick list is like, I come in as like a fractional executive and implement a framework of AI operations that I've come up with that kind of revolves around 3 core concepts, which is an AI operator, an AI solutions brief, and then the leveling of the solutions that we talked about. And if we can get everybody speaking the same language and using the same approach, you start to unlock this pent-up, what I call pent-up innovation that's been on the sidelines for years because nobody could afford to get their ideas out of their head into the wild. So,
I like that phrase, pent-up innovation.
Pent-up innovation, and if you can unlock that, you kind of get this micro innovation at scale. You've got a frontline worker who has an idea. In the past, they never would have got it off the ground because they're not going to get development time, resources.
But they have the best ideas because it's the most relevant to what the company's doing.
They're the subject matter expert.
Yeah.
Now, that person, I'm finding this out there all the time. They used Claude Code to code up an application for them and 2 other people that's become integral to their process.
The CEO doesn't even know about it, but it works amazingly.
And then our job is to say, that's great, let's get it off local host and somewhere where we can manage it. But you want to see that. You want to release that pent-up innovation that's been locked away in these corners and silos. And AI is allowing us to do that both through the tooling and the features that it offers, but also just because of our ability to spin up custom software for small groups.
So if this is a 400-person company, hypothetically, that we're talking about, what would you charge just for an audit? Give or take. I know it can vary, but
$10,000 to $15,000 usually, depending on how deep we want to go. One-time fee. Point solutions and stuff after that depend on how we want to do it. Usually, what it ends up working is coming up with sort of just a monthly amount that you want to spend, and we'll do as much as we can for that. Now, how do you want to do it? So back to the question on what I charge. A lot of times it's let us set that up at I'll come in as a fractional rate somewhere in the $20,000 to $35,000 a month range. Let's get all that set up. And then it becomes a question of, do you have the resources to implement, or do you want my team to do that, and so on. One of the reasons I think I've had early success is I'm just not telling people about this stuff. I actually build the solutions as well. So I can get people running.
How did you land on that pricing? Because, if people are paying it, awesome. To me, I wouldn't know where to start. I think people are much more likely to underprice themselves than overprice themselves because it's out of an insecurity, who's going to pay that, right?
Yeah.
How did you land on that?
It's way more than I was comfortable putting into a proposal. I did a ton of research, using ChatGPT and Claude to go do internet research on this. And a lot of times what they can find is only from the big 4 or 5 consultancies. And there's certainly a premium on this type of service right now. And so I kind of just worked my way up. I would do one at a certain price, and the next one I would price a little bit more.
They're not saying no at 10 grand. They're not saying no at 15.
That's right. As long as I feel comfortable that I'm delivering the value for that, then I'll go as high as it goes.
You might not know this, but this is not my full channel. If you want to watch the full episode of the segment that you just saw, go ahead and check this out or the link in the description.